Hey, good afternoon, everybody. How are you? It is good to see you today. Boy, I had a lot of fun last night on Jayashiro's live stream and also live streaming with Kyle. We played some Conflict, which is his awesome combat adventure. It is the adventure game of modern warfare. Uh, and he shared the link in the chat on where you can get the alpha copy for free of Conflict to try out for yourself. Now, I lucked out, and Kyle sent me a print copy of this lovely, lovely gem right here. Um, that is what we played last night. We played kind of a Heat or North Hollywood bank heist shootout inspired setting scenario, and that was a lot of fun. And then I went over on Ishiro's live stream, and I talked about stuff about D&D stuff, and that was a lot of fun too. So today we're going to be continuing on painting these awesome Grenadier hireling miniatures here. And what we're going to be doing mostly today is we're going to be doing our flesh washing. And I am using Reaper 9253 flesh wash. So you can get that in right there. Lagging behind a little bit here. Let me see. Yeah. So this is their wash. This is 9253. And I think they still sell this, but there are very good flesh washes out there. Cote d'Arms used to make paints for Citadel, and they make a flesh wash that people who use the original Citadel color back in the 80s and 90s swear by, and you can still get it through Cote d'Arms. So if you cannot find this particular flesh wash, the Cote d'Arms stuff is still very available. And I'm not going to be using the wet palette. And the reason why is today is washes, as the name might imply to you, are already thinned. They will already run everywhere, and we don't want to add additional water to dilute them. We want to put this straight on out of the dropper onto the minis. And we're just going to slop this in and make sure it drips down in all the cracks and everything, and go from there. And the nice thing about washes is you can pull washes off. Like if you get too much of a wash on, you can just come in and you can pull it right off. So we're gonna continue on with our Grenadier minis, and I see that our flesh wash bottle dropper. Now I don't know if I just got a bad batch or what, but all of my Reaper dropper bottles, I'm not sure if you can see that there, kind of set it straight like that, they all tend to clog up over time. You get a little bit of dryness in there and you can forget about it. So I need to grab our handy dandy paper clip right here. This is a Macintosh floppy eject tool for you old school computer guys, CD-ROM drive opener, and dropper paint bottle clearer right there, all in one tool. We can churn that. And this wash we can just give a good shaking to also. Do the Reaper shake, 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 shake. So, but yeah, I was gonna, like this morning, I was gonna go back because I had so much fun last night on Ishii's live stream, and Kat was there, and I got to talk to her for the first time in person and live rather than just through text messages in the chat and everything. And I was going to listen to it this morning. It's up. You can listen to it. But it just reiterated how much I hate the sound of my own voice. Like, the tone and everything. I really don't like it. Like, there was a brief trend in YouTubers doing informatic videos where they would just do listicles and things like that. Somebody would just come in and they would have a robot voice read a Wikipedia article over some hastily edited together video. And, you'd get millions of views on it. I may go to that. I may go to that robot voice. I don't like the sound of my own voice at all. So anyway, let's make sure. Yeah, I got my turn that down so that's not picking me up. And turn that down. I don't want any inadvertent echoes. All right. So we're doing this today, and tomorrow we are going to have the great and mighty Tracy Lush on. That might be a later afternoon, evening show, but Tracy Lush will be here. Tracy's a good friend of the show, an all-around swell guy. So we've given that a good shake, and we're just going to utilize a bottle cap, and I've told you why I like using these bottle caps. Oh, that's a bit much. That's a bit much, but that's okay. I've told you why I like to use the soda bottle and water bottle caps. I'm going to move this over here. I don't think I'm really going to have to do much on the computer today. And I will lean in as I paint these. So let's see where to start with this guy. Well, I'm going to start with the hand that is holding up the lamp. This guy's going to be fun to paint because I'm going to get to do some fire highlights on him. And if you can see what I'm doing here, I'm stroking this paint down into the cracks and just letting it flow in down between his fingers, because the shading, what is key here is the shading and the shadows that come in all the cracks and crevices of their hands, between their fingers, under their hands. You can see here on the back of his hand, right here. I'm going to get down in there. Because if you make a fist and look at it, if you're on public transport, don't do it. People think you're weird. But if you make a fist and look at it, you'll note, it's darker down in there than it is up on the top of the knuckles. And it's the same with your face. I mean, you can't make a fist with your face, but you get what I'm saying. So I'm just about done with Facebook. I said I wouldn't go. I said I would keep things both places, but yeah, I'm just about done with Facebook for good now. I'm not going to be ordered around and told not to criticize China by Facebook. And so there we go. We get a little bit of definition in his face, because I'm all about that face, no trouble. And we'll come in over here. So yeah, the past few days of the week-long suspension I have from Facebook have given me time to reflect. And, the fact that they took the word of someone from the 50 Cent Army over my opinions is absolutely within their rights to do. And it's absolutely within my rights to leave. It's like number 6 says in The Prisoner. They said I was free to go and that I was free to stay. But unlike poor number 6, I'm not sticking around. I'm going to be unmutual. I'm going to depart that platform very soon. Alright. So his eyes still need fixing. He's still got big, black, Satan-possessed pupils. You can probably see those quite nicely there. But I'll go back and fix those later. So yeah, he's all washed up. Now our halfling is going to get the same shading treatment. We're going to come in and we're going to hit, that's a little much. We're going to hit his lips and under his nose and give it some definition, and down on his jawline here. I love this guy's face. This halfling's face has so much character to it. It's easily one of the better Grenadier character minis. Oh, tra la 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 lee, here down in the valley, ha ha. So we come in here, and then on his hands, he's got these nice pudgy hands with lots of folds to catch our flesh wash. Come in, we're going to do that. And if you get your wash where you don't want to, remember, we have 2 layers of highlighting we're going to be doing here. So you're going to be able to cover up any shading that goes where you don't want it to with highlights. Yeah, let's get nice and washy down on his fingers there. There we go. Perfect example of what I'm talking about. You can see there on his knuckles. Let me get that up there. Whoops. My azimuth and so on is a little off. Well, you guys can't see it, but I can. It's a little bit more. Although it is the bottom of his hand, so I might not come back and correct it so much. And this is another guy, like the Lantern Bearer, that's going to be a lot of fun to start doing major details on, because he's going to get a firelight highlights on him. But in the meantime, but anyway, yeah, I was talking about the sound of my own voice. I got to get a voice changer or something. I just don't like the way my voice sounds recorded, because it makes me think, oh, that must be what I sound like to everyone, and it sounds terrible. Hey, Chris, how are you? Come in here. Same thing, paint between fingers and all. And this guy's face is a little janky, A, because of my painting, and B, just because of the face. Oh my God, what's wrong with your face? So just coming in here and hitting the shadowy places. And this poor guy over here, who is just hanging injured and unconscious. Maybe he got hit by a carrion crawler and he's paralyzed, or he was knocked down to 0 hits and knocked unconscious. Oh, we gotta come in. We gotta do some definition on this hand of his. The collar. But this guy's face is going to be almost completely in shadow here. So we can just come in and just do a good all over wash. And it does make his face details pop quite a bit. And then his hand that is hanging limply. And it occurs to me, I didn't do the other hand. The other hand is right above it. I can fix that, though. I can fix that later. You know, of things you should have handy when you're painting, and the reason I can't is because this is a live stream. This is a YouTube thing. Have a good painting soundtrack. Have some nice, easy to listen to music. I don't necessarily mean easy listening, but I mean music that just kind of puts you in an artistic mood. You know, mellow stuff. If don't play prong or KMFDM or heavier tracks. I mean, I like all that stuff, but it is more than a little difficult to focus on painting when, you got Juke Joint Jezebel or Beg to Differ or Aces High by Maiden or something like that blasting in the background. I like I like classical music while I'm painting. Easy rock. Like, oh my god, I can play Stevie Nicks while I'm painting. I will not listen to a note of Stevie Nicks music other than Rhiannon or Edge of 17. And those may be Fleetwood Mac tracks. That shows how little I know about Fleetwood Mac and Stevie Nicks. But yeah, whoo, janky paint. But when I'm painting, just something about her voice is very calming, and it puts me in a very artistic mood, and I just get into it. I just get into what she's got going on, and I thoroughly enjoy the hell out of some Stevie Nicks. You know, there's an old Wayne's World skit on SNL. They were talking about like top albums or something like that, and you know, one of them was Rumors by Fleetwood Mac, and they were saying, you know, if you grew up in the suburbs in the 1980s, you were issued this album. It's like, welcome to teenagerhood. Here's your copy of Rumors. Prong. Those guys owe Beavis and Butthead a lot for having Snap Your Fingers, Snap Your Neck on their show. A lot of bands owe Beavis and Butthead for a lot of stuff, like KMFDM, A Drug Against War, was on Beavis and Butthead, I think. Oh, what was they were playing Turn the Beat Around by Gloria Estefan. Another artist whom, like, I really admire her. She had a horrible tour bus accident that nearly took her life, and it really made her change her outlook. But she came back from it, and she, you know, the coming back was such a fascinating story. But she did a cover of the old disco standard Turn the Beat Around, and I remember catching Beavis and Butthead, and that song was on, and one of them says, I think it was Butthead, says, if you turn the beat around, you'll hear the devil, or something like that. All right. This is a favorite of Jeremy's. I'm going to paint this guy up. He has closed eyes. He's closing his eyes, enjoying a refreshing belt of potion. So his whole face is going to get washed. Prong was a band, though. They didn't know what they wanted to sound like. Were they industrial? Were they thrash metal? They just... I remember getting their first, or one of their first releases before they got over on CBS, Columbia, or whoever, whatever their major label was, and being like, I want to like this, but it's so strange. They played like hookless riffs, but it was still like, I felt like there was something there that I had to decode so I could enjoy them, and I listened to them for a long time. And then Beg to Differ came out, and that was great. In fact, Pusshead, the artist who designed Metallica's album covers, designed their Beg to Differ cover, and you can see a promo flat for Beg to Differ in John Connor's bedroom in Terminator 2. They fall under that industrial metal umbrella that really meant nothing. Yeah, exactly. There was a transitional period there when Chicago industrial really kind of imploded, primarily because Wax Trax had imploded and nobody was really taking that banner back up. KMFDM was cast out on their own. Front 242 was basically making bank, touring medium-sized venues and clubs and stuff, playing Headhunter over and over. My Life with a Thrill Kill Cult had kind of become their own in-joke. You get the idea. But there was a brief period there when, like, Psalm 69, which was a good album by Ministry, don't misunderstand me. I mean, the red line, white line mix of Jesus Built My Hot Rod is probably one of the great thrash rock songs of all time. But they were really dipped hard into the we want to sound like Slayer side of things. You know, Psalm 69 literally could have come out of Slayer's library, and them just said, okay, Al Jurgensen's going to do some songwriting and production for us, and it would have sounded like yes, Paul, you're absolutely correct. It was the cutscene. You can clearly see the promo flat in the back. But yeah, Psalm 69 was a Slayer album masquerading as a Ministry album. And now I like KMFDM a lot. I mean, a whole lot. This is not meant as a diss to KMFDM. But I mean, Juke Joint Jezebel is fucking party rock. It's so poppy and boppy and upbeat and everything. And I remember watching football games, okay? NFL football games. And faintly in the background, you know, when they would do the wide panning shots before the games or just before or just after halftime, at a lot of stadiums would throw Juke Joint Jezebel in the mix. Because they stepped a little bit back from ultra heavy beat, which was that N. Ash Gunter Schultz engine that drove them for like 5 albums. They stepped back away from that and just literally went for, buy this single. It's going to be on. I mean, it wasn't. Juke Joint Jezebel was on Bad Boys 2 soundtrack, or Bad Boys. I can't remember. It was on one of the Bad Boys movie soundtracks, and it was my introduction to KMFDM. It was a very easy entry level. And then, of course, you know, I got more into their older stuff. But I don't think they have to be ashamed of Juke Joint Jezebel, but it was very much a party rock song. Oh, yeah. Jesus Built My Hot Rod was... And again, the red line, white line version is what you should seek out. I have that on CD single, and I will give that up when you pry it from my cold, dead hands. And as someone who considers himself a Christian, no, I am not offended by it. I do not think it is blasphemous. I do not feel like it is a threat to my beliefs to enjoy Jesus Built My Hot Rod. But yeah, there was kind of this ascending point where it seemed like American industrial rock was really kind of splitting and fracturing and so on. And I don't know that Chicago sound has ever been returned to. Now, I know that Jim, can't remember his last name, the founder, the co-founder of Wax Trax Record, his daughter has restarted Wax Trax, but it's almost, it seems to me like it's more of an historical thing, which is fine. Don't misunderstand me. But like, I don't see a big raft of bands coming back and saying, yeah, we want to be on the Wax Trax label. It's interesting about KMFDM though. Sasha Konitsko claims that after that point, after Juke Joint Jezebel, and people started getting back into some of their more accessible stuff. Again, the Slayer crowd going out and jamming to A Drug Against War and their ultra heavy beat stuff. He claims that they were asked to headline Lollapalooza 2. And he declined. He didn't want to do that. Like, he felt that was too commercial. I've never heard anything to support it, but I've never heard anyone contravene it. So you'd have to talk to the powers that be. Oh God, this poor guy's eye is just a giant black spot. Definitely to fix. Oh, and you know what? I was worried that his nose had gotten lead rot and decayed off his face, but the shading is bringing it out. It's just kind of a pug nose. If you look at him from straight on, it's definitely well defined. I know you guys can't really see that well. Again, if you like these Grenadier minis, go to mirliton.it. They have a great mini of the gold box minis that Grenadier put out for TSR, and later continued putting out just with different boxes because they couldn't use the TSR logos any longer. So let's come in. Be mine. Video demonetized. Singing a song that'll get me struck by CMG. I was watching this guy. My daughter's got me watching this guy, Penguin Z0. His shtick seems to be to do silly things and also to bitch about stuff on the internet, which is fine with me. So I started watching a little bit of his videos. That little thing that I just did, if this was on Twitch, people are like, "Oh, you should stream your painting sessions on Twitch. That's huge on Twitch." Me humming a song can get my entire channel deleted and demonetized from Twitch. They are apparently ultra spazzes about anything that sounds like it could be. I'm going to work on Morduke over here a little bit. He needs his second layer of flesh tone base, though. Yeah, but Twitch is apparently like, you can't hum part of a song. It's like, oh my God, you're trying to make money with our song. Well, not really. Yes, you are. We heard you. Well, I mean, can anybody really identify it? Oh, we absolutely can. So you're gone. Okay, goodbye, viewers. Goodbye. Goodbye, monetization. Goodbye, everything that I tried to do. So no, I'm never going to. I'm never going to Twitch for anything. I'll tell you a funny thing about industrial, particularly the Chicago industrial sound, is how many of those guys found themselves in places that were completely, like, you would not think, for example. And I'm referring specifically to one case, the late great Bill Rieflin, who, if you own a Wax Trax production, Bill Rieflin is on it. He was just that profligate. He worked with Trent Reznor, he worked with Ministry, he worked with KMFDM, he worked with Front 242, he worked with Revco, he worked with Chris Connolly, he worked with My Life with a Thrill Kill Cult, because God knows they didn't have enough members. He worked with Lard. Basically, if they were an American Chicago-based industrial band, because Wax Trax brought in a lot of different musicians from a lot of different places. I mean, the Young Gods, they're a French agro-punk band. They're not industrial at all, but but Bill Rieflin, before he passed away, his last gig he was the drummer for REM. And I certainly wouldn't call REM an industrial band by any stretch of the imagination. And if you know anything about Chris Connolly's solo work, and you should, it is not, he doesn't have solo albums where he's screaming like he is on the vocals on Revco albums or Ministry's The Mind is a Terrible Thing to Taste, which Ishi, if you watch my stream, I'm going to have to disagree with you wholeheartedly. The Mind is a Terrible Thing to Taste is a perfect Ministry album. In fact, I would say, if you just want to talk about their industrial sound, Twitch, The Land of Rape and Honey, The Mind is a Terrible Thing to Taste, and Psalm 69 are agro-industrial perfection. Now, Psalm 69, like I said, that's straight into the Slayer territory a little bit, into thrash death metal, as far as its sound. But, Al never shied away from borrowing particular sounds. Yes, Bill Rieflin did work with Killing Joke. There's a funny story there. For those of you who don't know Killing Joke is a band. Oh my God, Killing Joke inspired everyone. You can hear a Killing Joke track cover by Metallica on the 598 Garage Days Revisited. But for a band that did that, Killing Joke did some very industrial songs and had some very industrial sounds. And Killing Joke created the guitar riff that Kurt Cobain lifted for Come As You Are. The song 80s by Killing Joke, like if you listen to the opening riff, you're like, oh yeah, this is Come As You Are. Do 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 do. That is Killing Joke. They borrowed it completely. And Killing Joke and Nirvana were both kind of very coy about whether or not they just straight out stole it. I'm gonna let this stuff dry for a second, guys. Also, I'm gonna dip over and get my fan in just a second because I'm getting warm over here in the corner with the lights and everything bearing straight down on me. But yeah, Killing Joke. I think Nirvana, like, at first said, yes, absolutely. We listen to Killing Joke all the time. And then they said, well, maybe kind of. And then we never heard this song. And yet Killing Joke, at least at one point, Kurt Cobain said, yeah, we got a couple of Christmas cards from Killing Joke. And then Killing Joke, I don't know if it's the front man or whoever, came out and said, yeah, not only we sent him a Christmas card and said congratulations on your great success, you're welcome, or something like that. So yeah, Killing Joke is one of those bands that they were everywhere. They were everywhere. In fact, when I was a little metalhead back in 88, 89, working at an independent record store, I was a bad employee, man. Oof. But anyway, like I would branch out and I would listen to bands that Metallica listed as their influences, or Anthrax listed as their influences. So when I got the 598 Garage Days Revisited EP, I listened to it and I thought, oh, okay, well, I'll check these out. And a coworker of mine who was also very into Metallica and a number of other bands, he had wider and better taste than I did, said, you're not going to like a lot of this stuff, dude. It does not sound like Metallica. Metallica put their sound to these guys' riffs. They didn't just copy the riffs entirely. And I listened to Helpless by King Diamond, which was not to my taste at all. So if you're watching this, Charles, I'm sorry, I didn't care for King Diamond. But, or whoever it was that did Helpless. But yeah, Killing Joke. They covered Killing Joke. And apparently so did everybody else. Paul says, Twitch a little less aggro, but they started toying around with harsh electronics. Yeah, Land of Rape and Honey was them warping light years away from With Sympathy. Yeah, it's funny. You can go back and listen to Every Day is Halloween or Effigy with Jurgensen putting his touches, or putting the faux sort of soft sell Pet Shop Boys almost-esque vocals on, and then, go listen to Stigmata or You Know What You Are, and you're just like, yeah, that's the same guy. Nope. Yep. It is. Let me get my fan real quick, guys. Dying over here. I'm still feeling a little from my second COVID shot, but nothing like I felt Tuesday. I mean, I am surprised I did a stream on Tuesday. I'm going to have to go back and rewatch it and see what I said. I was just so punchy. And normally I would be pointing the fan at my minis and drying them. I need to get another one of these for mini drying, but whoo, I'm warm over here. Whew. But anyhow, yeah, so listening to going back and listening to something like With Sympathy, or even Ministry 12-inch singles, which I think was their last Wax Trax release, was it was quite a shock if you jumped into Ministry, like, when Stigmata dropped off of the Land of Rape and Honey. So one thing I'm gonna do here, because I've got these, I've got the inks on everybody, is I want to come in and I want to fix a couple of eyes. I gotta find this guy and set him aside. Where is he? Because I've got a guy over here that is just like, his eye is just a giant black orb. It looks very cool. If I was painting a demon, it would be awesome, but not so much on just a human. And to me, it doesn't pass the 3-foot test, like the arm's length test. It looks weird and unusual to me. So just got to find the guy and mix up some white paint and proceed to see if I can either repair it or otherwise. Let's see. He almost looks like he has his eyes closed. I think I obliterated the pupils, I did. But that's okay, because we started with his eyes, which means coming back and fixing him is not going to be an issue. Is it this guy? No, his eyes are kind of okay. Where was it? Is it this guy? Nope. Sort of bunching them all together. Treasure chest hauler, no. Torch and lantern guy. Nah, he looks good. Equipment dude. No, I think he looks good, guys. Yeah. But I'll be honest, I don't much listen to industrial anymore. I appreciate it for what it is. But at the same time, it's like, oh, here's my guy with his gigantic black eye. Although I may come in with flesh tone to try and fix that. We'll see. We'll see. So much of it is so aggro, and I don't... Yeah, I'm irritated by things in the world at large, but it's like... You know, do I don't want to, like, scram my ears like a nuclear reactor? Or do I want to listen to something a little mellower? You know, where am I going? What do I have to do today? How angry do I want to be? And I'll base my decisions about what to listen to on that. So, and it's unfortunately rare that the industrial wins out. So. All right, like that. Come up in here. All right. That's fixed it, and I can come back in with some flesh tones and fix it some more. But I've got that straight across. There we go. So I can let that settle and then come in and put in a little bit more fleshy definition around it. So that's that. How long have we been going here? I've been sitting here running my mouth with you guys. I'm a busy man. I got shit to do today. Now, one thing, I have been beating on this drum for a while now, but I do want to just jump back over and repeat this and say thank you to everyone who's been subscribing. I said it on Jay Ashiro's show last night. I said it during mine and Kyle's live stream last night, and I'll say it again now. This is just kind of an ongoing advertisement from me to you guys, but when I reach 1,000 subs, I will be doing a games day. I will be doing a live streamed games day for various tabletop games. It'll be a mini convention. You can log in, you can sign on, we'll do it through Discord, and I will run multiple games on the day. Not immediately like, hey, I got 1,001 today, so today's the day. I mean, that'll give me an idea of when to actually do the games day. I'll be playing some AD&D, some original D&D, probably some Tales from the Loop. If you haven't played Tales from the Loop, now's your chance. I got a request in from Tracy Lesh to maybe play some Fight in the Skies. And if I'm able to afford it, if I'm able to get my hands on the copy in time, maybe even some Tractics, some Armored Combat, possibly some 1E Gamma World. We'll have to see. I don't know. A fella doesn't know. But we'll see how that goes. We will see how that goes. The thing with 3D printed minis, I'm just going to take an aside here and actually talk about 3D printed minis for a second. The thing with 3D printed minis, move that out of the way, is even on fine detail settings, there tend to be striations. You have to deal with those in a couple of different ways. You can use a brush-on substance that will basically give them like a hard, like they've been covered with nail polish kind of shell, but it fills in the gaps, but it can also fill in fine details. Or you can sand, or you can just apply a lot of paint. I'm trying Warduke here with the apply a fair amount of paint method, and we're going to see how that works out. We're going to see how, if at all, that's going to work out for him. And I will do him. I'm going to do him. I will paint up Warduke here some more with his next coat. And then when I get done, he's going to get flesh washed, and I'll look back. If we have time, I'll look back to going on to the other minis. Now, next week, I don't want to speak for Ishii or Kat, but the subject was broached at the end of their live stream about talking about dungeon crafting, because Kat is an artist and she's interested in getting into 3D printing, both for her hobbies and possibly for tabletop. So I'm going to see if I can answer some questions. I'm no expert. I've just been doing it since January, but I've been watching it for a while now. One thing I can tell you, with little exception, if you are 3D printing for tabletop and you want to do magnificent character minis, get a resin printer. FDM printers, FDM printers. No, FDM printers don't do good character minis. There are a few exceptions. But they don't. They don't. So just kind of drying this guy a little bit down here. But yeah, I've almost got the striations sort of cleared off. And it doesn't matter so much if you're doing like large scale minis. Like if you're painting a giant, it's not necessary to worry that much about details, because you have a lot of surface area to sand and the details are going to pop better, like on a dragon or a giant or an ogre or something like that. And Paul asks, do you airbrush your primer? I've heard good things. I don't airbrush my primer. I brush my primer on. The primer you need on a mini is a simple wash of primer. Don't glob it on. You'll destroy details on metal and properly done resin or plastic miniatures. You do want to just do like a surface. You don't have to go crazy with primer, because what you need to remember is you're doing thin coats. You are building up thin coats over many layers. So you'll prime, and then your first layer is not your last layer of color. Prime thinly, a layer of color, a layer of color, a layer of color, and just gently layer it up until the primer is covered. The primer is just there to bond the first layer. The first layer is there to bond the second layer. That's my approach. Now, I used to go crazy with some rattle can. I mean, I would, But what I found two things with spraying. Florida is a humid place, and you get a lot of what's called orange peel. And I don't think I have any minis handy now. I think I've cleaned them all up, actually. Orange peel is when primer... Two things happen. You do get some primer on the mini, but a lot of it basically turns into snowflakes, for lack of a better term. Basically, they hit the moisture of the air and they tend to coalesce around drops of water. And then that dust, it's dust at that point, and it goes on to your mini. So what you have is you have this crumbly powder that has coated your mini like a powdered donut, like sugar on a powdered donut. And if you try to paint on top of it, that crumble will drink your paint. It will literally look like your paint is disappearing. It's being sucked into those beads and pulled down into areas where those beads are. Like I have put like a thin coat of paint on top of orange peeled paint, and it was like disappearing ink. It was just like a jaw on floor moment. There's two approaches to it. You can take an old toothbrush and you can basically brush it off until you feel nothing but a smooth coat of primer. And that should be enough primer. Or chuck them into the simple green, scrub them off, and redo. Now, I do have an airbrush, and I have airbrushed minis. I have a whole batch of Gene Stealers that I finally was able to do when I mixed up some what was it, Wizard Blue from Games Workshop. It's circa 1992 Citadel color that's still good. A friend gave me basically a perfect match for doing Gene Stealers. It's got like Wizard Blue, Hawk Turquoise, Bleached Bone, so on and etc. It's got the right colors to do Gene Stealers with. And I was just having a hell of a time because there's 20 Gene Stealers in the 2E Space Hulk set, slowly painting it. And finally, one day I was just like, fuck it. How do you make brush on paint into airbrush paint? And you do a 50-50 mix of airbrush thinner and your original paint color. I mixed some up, I put it in the airbrush, I crossed the Rubicon, and I started airbrushing. And I was like, oh, this is godlike. And so I base coat knocked out all of my Gene Stealers in like 20 minutes. And it was perfect, and it was smooth, and it went on just... I was having so much fun just doing little dots of blue on them and seeing... With a cheap airbrush, too. A really inexpensive airbrush. You can get a starter airbrush kit from Master on eBay. Let me see if I can find this. Because if you guys are thinking about airbrushing, I have a great place to start, and it's a great place to start because the entry point is so inexpensive. Master Airbrush, let's see. Now, these guys aren't a partner or anything like that. This is a little different from the one that I have. They made, this is like the Master G23. Let me see if I can find the exact one that I've got, because I've had a lot of luck with it. And let me tell you, you might be like so budget minded that you think, oh, I'll get one of those testers one that you just run off of Freon cans. You don't do that to yourself. You'll come away feeling like you've wasted your time and your money, and it's not any cheaper than getting a semi-good airbrush set. So I'm not seeing precisely the one that I've got. And I'll share the closest thing I've got with you, with you guys here. Oh, that's a big link. Is that even gonna? No, that vastly exceeds the number of characters I can have. Wait, did I get? I'm such an idiot. I'm sorry, guys. I went to eBay, not Amazon. No wonder. Senior moment. All right. This is the one I've got right here. See it. See if this link will go. I don't think it will. I'll see if this won't work. I'll find one of those URL shorteners. And I'll see if that'll open. Yeah, okay. So that'll open it. That is the exact setup that I have. I have two things that I think are critical if you're in a humid state. Well, one is critical whether or not you're in a humid state, and that's a cleaning station, which sounds all fancy schmancy, but it's not. It's just a jar that's got a lid with a gasket built in, and when you're done with a color, like you've run it out and you're ready to switch colors, you just pour some cleaner in your cup and stick it into the gasket on top of the cleaning station jar, and just hold down the trigger and just let let the cleaner blow out until you can see down in the cup that it's out, and then you can wipe it. The other thing I have, I'm going to show you guys these things. I've talked about them before, but this is a good opportunity to talk more. Pardon me. All right. So, this is the cleaning station or cleaning jar, and it's got a nice balance to rest the gun on, or brush, or whatever. Here's the compressor. Yes, that is the whole compressor. Right there. Let me move over so I can see what I'm doing here. All right. So, here's the compressor. Master Airbrush, $59. It was $49 when I got it for Christmas a few years ago, but that was a good number of years ago, so price has gone up somewhat. Trying to center it there. Nothing complex about this at all. It's a constant. It doesn't have a tank. It's just a constant pump. Some people say having a tank is better. I don't use mine enough to get that. To get one of those, but if you want one, you can. Master is a good entry point. There is the cleaning jar, and again, you can see, there's the gun. These are cleaning wands for scrubbing down inside. This is a gravity feed, which literally means the paint goes in there, and it just drips down. But this is very, very good to have, but if you live where it's humid, what is absolutely essential to have is this. This is a moisture trap. This literally dehumidifies the air as it goes out of your compressor into your gun. And I screw the gun onto this very carefully. You don't want to cross thread. This is glass, by the way, not plastic. And yeah, it will just suck the moisture as much as it can out of the air so you don't wind up with orange peel. So, yeah, if you want to try airbrushing, I do recommend getting that as a starter set. It's a good starter set. And regardless of what you're doing, you can get nice even coats. There's so many cool tricks you can pull off with an airbrush. If I was doing these guys as a uniform color to start, I would have airbrushed them. I have lots of other minis to do that are going to get mass coated with the airbrush. But you can, even with this, reviewers have reviewed this on YouTube and so on, and have raved about this starter set. And if you decide you don't like it, I mean, it's $60. You can flip it back out on eBay if you feel the need to regain your funds. Okay, so that about wraps us up. We're at about the 1 hour mark. And so gonna go ahead and drop for today. Next time we're gonna do some detailing. We're gonna come in and we're gonna be detailing these guys, and getting all kinds of fun highlighty stuff on them. And then once we're done with their skin, once we're done with that, I'm going to pick one and I'm going to start picking out details, because everybody's going to get different colored clothes. You know, greens and browns and yellows and reds and blues. Everybody's going to be motley. So it'll be a longer process, but I think it'll be a little bit more fun than it's been so far. So thank you everyone for stopping by today. Please, if you haven't, like and subscribe, and just click that little subscribe button. And yeah, I will see you all tomorrow afternoon, when I believe our guest will be Tracy Lesh, and we'll find out what's been going on in Tracy's world. One of the pioneers of early Dungeons and Dragons, one of the leading pioneers whose name you don't know, but I promise you know his work. So peace to you all. Great talking to you, Paul, today about industrial music and about painting. And I do these live streams every day, usually around the middle of the day, Eastern Standard Time. So thank you once again and all, and I will see you all later. Peace.